One more shift for him tonight as we celebrate the decade of excellence and, of course, the 2010 Stanley Cup championship for the Chicago Blackhawks. Adam, let's get right into it. I mean, anytime I think you can win a championship at any level in hockey, it's special. But when you can win a Stanley Cup in the way that you all did in 2010, the group had to have been just amazing. What are your memories of what was happening inside that room?
Well, I remember 2007, 8, and part of 9 when there was 5,000 people in the building. We weren't very good. I don't blame anybody for not showing up for those games because we were terrible. But then we get Kane, we get Taves, we get Hossa, Sharp comes along, we get Antti Niemi and Ned, Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook become the guys that we all know, and all of a sudden we're like, dang, we're a pretty darn good team here. And then we had a lot of fun. We had fans showing up, and the building was sold out. And when the building's sold out, there's a lot of people there, you feel pressure. And Rocky Wirtz and John McDonough came to us and says, we're gonna give you guys what you guys need, but then we're gonna ask a lot of you guys, and we're gonna expect results. And we felt pressure from the fans and from the organization. And we had a lot of fun playing, and we had a lot of fun playing in front of a full house here at the United Center. And it was a fun year. In 2009, we go to the conference finals and lose to the mighty Detroit Red Wings. And then the next year, boo. I hear it. And then the next year, we're like, all right, we know what it takes now. Let's let it rip, and we did. We go on and win a Stanley Cup.
Right? Yeah, how about that? You guys end a very big drought for this organization, and it kicks off what has been absolutely a spectacular decade that you've had a front row seat to as well. And we'll talk about that coming up a little bit. But when you think about that group, was it everybody kind of tight? Were there guys maybe that you were more specifically close with, or was that whole group just kind of always doing stuff together on the road, always doing stuff away from the rink, etc.?
Yeah, we had a fun time playing together. There wasn't, if we went for dinner, there'd be 15 guys going for dinner. We liked being around Chicago. We liked being around the fans. I always remember the coolest thing for me was when we won the Stanley Cup. We went around town everywhere, and it was a party with 10,000 people. It wasn't just the 25 guys. It was all you guys. And everywhere we went, the city was around us, and it was pretty neat. And the guys all got along so good. And I've been on a lot of teams where it's not like that. And I think if you want to win a championship, you have to have guys that are close and get along and look out for each other and push each other too. And we were mean to each other in practice. We practiced hard and we were competitive, but we cared about each other. We had a fun time together.
When you think about that whole season, was there a moment mid-season, or was it maybe in the playoffs when you looked at yourself? And I've known a couple guys that have won the cup, and they've all told me there was that one moment, and that definitive moment. It's like when you meet the girl or the guy of your dreams, you know you're going to marry that person. Was there that moment when you're like, yeah, we're going to win the cup?
I think we thought we were pretty good the whole year. I thought it wasn't just one moment. It's funny that the Hawks are playing the Calgary Flames tonight, because it was early on in the season. We were down 5-0 to the Calgary Flames and came back and beat them 6-5. So that was a moment when, geez, you're down 5-0, you're getting spanked, and you come back and can find a way to win again. We must be pretty darn good. We also found out Kane was pretty good then too. But that was one of the moments. And I think just as you go on in the playoffs and you win a series, it's highs and lows, but you win a series, you're like, holy man. And once you win the first round, you're like, geez, we could win the cup now. So I think winning that first series against Nashville, I think the belief was there then.
When it finally did come to fruition and you won and that goal was scored, and you know, I remember watching it and just the reaction, and Kane seemed to be like the only guy that knew it was in the net. But can you take me back to that moment? Do you have memories of that moment when you knew it was over and you knew you guys had won?
I still don't know if that puck went in. I never saw it go in. I think my initial thought when I went on the ice was, I don't want to get too many men on the ice penalty. I don't want to be the one that ran on the ice and get a penalty. I don't think a lot of us knew it went in. One of the coolest memories after we won for me was the flight home. And everybody thinks, oh, it must have been crazy on the plane, and everybody was having drinks and yelling. It was really quiet. And we were kind of like, holy man, the Stanley Cup is on the plane going back to Chicago. I remember Jonathan Taves was sitting next to the Conn Smythe trophy, the MVP trophy that he had won. He was just staring at it, like, oh my goodness. And 3 or 4 guys would be talking, like, do you remember 2 years ago? And we were terrible. We didn't even think some of us didn't belong in the NHL, and I'm one of them. And now all of a sudden we won the Stanley Cup. So that was one of the neatest memories, was how quiet and just we were in shock that we won the Stanley Cup.
How about the moments after? So there's those immediate moments, but then, like you said, you party with this entire